All right, thank you, and welcome to another episode of Just Throwing It Out There, the podcast. As always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Melissa, Melly. What's up? Say hello to everybody.
Hey, hey everybody.
Danny, how you doing?
Hi, everybody.
Talia.
Hey y'all.
Yes. Okay. And I am Sharice. And joining us this week, we have some very special guests, Chris and Vanessa Wilson. Let me just give you a brief overview of who they are, what they're about. Chris is the owner of Legacy Franchise Ventures. Okay. And Vanessa is the owner and lead attorney of the law offices of Vanessa Hyacinth. They are longtime friends to the show, and they're here to share some of their experiences with raising a family while trying to run a franchise and an independent law practice. I mean, they're doing it. That's a lot, you know? And I'm just trying to get my socks on in the morning. They're doing all this during the pandemic and making it look good. So thank you, and a round of applause for our guests today.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you for joining us. We're gonna pick your brains today.
Yeah,
Talia?
and so today we're going to talk about some of the celebrations, some of the challenges that you all have experienced along your journey. We're going to ask some of the questions that are on the minds of our viewers and listeners, and hopefully for those of you out there, this will help dismantle some of the mental information and barriers that you might have about family. You're wanting to make a leap, but you're just nervous and apprehensive. Maybe some of you will take that big leap after hearing from Chris and Vanessa. Yes.
All right.
All right, y'all ready? Chris and V, how you feeling? Y'all good?
Doing good.
Pretty good. Thank you for having
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us. All right, I'll let you get started. Tell us about some of the projects that you have going on.
Okay. So I'm an immigration attorney, solo practice. I also work for another firm. But we're here to talk about my firm today, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
Like your own stuff.
exactly. The law office of Vanessa Hyacinth, founded in 2016, pretty much when we first moved down here to Florida. I practice solely immigration law, and it's full service, and anything from family immigration, business immigration to humanitarian. And Chris has a lot more going on.
So we have Legacy Franchise Ventures, where we help people to find out which franchises work best for them in their investment. And then we have two Pilates studios here in the Orlando area, which are also franchises. And we're working on a couple of other things to be announced later this year. So next time you have us on, hopefully we'll have more to that list. But so far, so good.
Any previews you want to give us? You know, we like tea.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love. Then yeah, you're in the right place.
Okay. All right. All right. So you two are Jersey natives, right? We talked a little bit.
Technically, both born in Brooklyn. So you know you gotta show love to New
Brooklyn
York.
in the house.
Brooklyn in the
Okay.
house all day. And she moved to Jersey when she was really young,
Yeah, the baby.
and I moved to Jersey right before high school, and then we lived there up until 2016. So 5 years now we've been in Orlando.
Yeah, because our folks are Jersey strong. So
That's right.
Jersey in the
Right.
house, transplanted to Florida. We just
There you
Yeah.
go.
Florida transplants, right? So tell me, with this whole you said you had the two Pilates studios. What made you decide first and foremost to take that leap to start your own franchise? Because that's a big deal. And that's
Yeah,
an
so-
investment, right?
Yeah. So my background is in IT, and I was working for some pretty nice companies and traveling the country. And then I got laid off a couple times, and I kind of didn't like how that felt. And I decided that I wanted to have an additional stream of income so that if I got laid off again, it wouldn't be as rocky of a time financially. So I had known about franchising for a while, but was always kind of apprehensive just because I thought it cost like $1 million, and I'm not a millionaire yet. So had to kind of like figure that out, right? But then I came across somebody who was already in franchising and who looked like us, right? Black people. And he was able to share like just different ways to get in and give us some education. And then I ended up getting laid off 3 times. So I took it as a sign that I needed to do something else. we didn't go into it thinking that we would run a Pilates studio. I mean, two Black kids from Brooklyn, but
I mean, I tried Pilates, but we're like,
I knew nothing about Pilates. The only thing I knew about Pilates going into it was the Kanye lyric, all those mocha lattes, you gotta drink Pilates. Yeah, that's all I knew about Pilates going into it. But like from a business model standpoint, it just worked for us. So that's where we ended up. And it's been good so far. We love it.
Yeah, Sharice, I know you were looking into some things, right?
I'm still looking into some things. I think the hurdle, and maybe you could offer me some advice or suggestions, but the hurdle is that initial financial hurdle. I'm a single woman that doesn't own property. And I'm thinking like the key for me, and you could tell me whether I'm wrong or not, is one, to get my first property underneath me, and maybe use that as, collateral or a leverage to get into the franchising. So you could tell me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's not an official requirement, but it is easier to get financing when you do have something to use as collateral. So as you mentioned, a home would be, awesome, whether it's residential or commercial. That'd be a great way for you to get started. So keep at it. Let's go.
Yeah, because I'm ready. I wouldn't say I was looking. I'm still
actively looking. And that's fine. It takes a while. I've been looking since I was 14 and didn't do it until 5 years ago. So
I wanted a Chick-fil-A from the time I first had Chick-fil-A in New Jersey. And I was like, why aren't there more of these?
Yeah, I mean, Chick-fil-A's are, if you
see them now.
Model,
yeah,
they're a good model for quick service, right? For getting the lines down quickly. I think it was good where they had that they had an issue with the registration. I think it was the vaccine thing currently with the COVID. I think it was the registration, and they just went and got the manager from Chick-fil-A to come across the street and help
and organize it.
Organize it.
Serious.
I'm not kidding you. He's like, I'm gonna need this number of volunteers. They got him the volunteers, and then the hour and some change time dropped down to like 15 minutes.
Yep.
That's
But that's the thing about Chick-fil-A, like that line could be around the corner and you'd be like, oh, they're gonna get me out of here in no time, right? So that's what they're known for. That's awesome. Yeah.
True story, I'm not the biggest fan. It's not my number one thing.
No, it's okay. No, there's some issues, political issues.
Yeah. I'm there.
I can tell you quite honestly, I've only had Chick-fil-A twice. It's not like my go-to.
I think I'm with you there. Maybe 3 times.
I never knew what the big
waffle fries are amazing.
It's the waffle fries.
Yeah, that's what I had, the fries.
I didn't like anybody else either. That was my issue. I was like, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, this is nasty. It's finally not nasty, right? And I was like, okay, this is like real food.
There's a bit of a freshness to it, right? There is like that.
But there's always for me a moral dilemma.
I'm like,
I'm feeling like they are so talented in terms of customer service and guest service. Like it's, So you know what? Because it is a franchise, though, the franchisees don't necessarily share the opinions of, I think, Dan Cathy, who's the owner of the whole thing. So you do need to look at that, because there are franchisees who are much more progressive in their viewpoints and stances and things like that. So.
Sharice, you bring in a lot of vocabulary to the table. Like, what's this difference between like franchisee and owner of the company?
Well, they can. Hey, as the owner of the legacy and the experts on the on the franchises, you can lay it down. Tell us.
So the franchisor is like the umbrella company. That's who Sharice is talking about. They own the company, and the franchisees are the individual operators in your local community, if you will. So Sharice is exactly right. Those people don't always align as far as values and political beliefs. I mean, you hear about what happens at the top, but the individual operators might have a total different way of thinking. So
they could be Jewish,
right?
Like, you sure we can open on Sunday?
Because I would prefer to be closed on Friday.
I have yet to see one open on Sunday. That would be
That's one of the rules. Like,
that's probably one of the rules, right?
That's
That
probably
is.
one
That's
of
one of
their
the rules.
no's. Like that's a hard no for them.
Hard
Right.
no. Yep.
right.
Hard
Yep.
no. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that that they're not open on Sundays. If you think about it, you know, you think about capitalism and trying to make as much money as humanly possible, but then you can say, hey, I'm not going to be open on Sundays and still rock it out. I think that's a pretty interesting thing. So so anything is possible.
Yes.
That's right.
In running your business.
Absolutely true.
You mean you can close on Sundays, but you can't pay people $15 an hour? What a thing. Oh my gosh, you can take a whole day off.
Hard.
Wow. Okay, I see what we doing now. Yes.
So
Okay.
we talked a little bit about the funding, and you did say that you knew someone, like the person, Chris, that was trying to help you out. So would you say like this, like you had a mentor, like this person helped you out? Do you recommend that people kind of get themselves a mentor to keep them on track when doing something like this, or when trying to start their own thing?
Sure. Mentors in general are awesome, just to keep you grounded, someone who's been there before. If you're thinking about franchising, I would go to a franchise consultant that you trust. Like me.
Right here.
Just someone who's going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, help you weigh those choices, also introduce you to financial partners, everything you're going to need to, you know, fully vet the opportunity and make sure that you're making the right decision. So.
And also,
Go ahead.
I also think it's important. I know that that you mentioned just having a mentor, and I know, you know, just like you said, two Black kids from Brooklyn, you know, trying to do big things. I also think it's important to find somebody who, again, aligns with your values. I think it's important for someone to help you that looks like you, right? In a sense, because I think that they're going to keep it, like we like to say, they're going to keep it all the way real.
Yeah.
I know sometimes people are think that that's a negative thing, right? Or you just picking them because of X, Y, and Z. But I think that there's a difference between a preference, right? Having a preference and just solely picking people based on what they look like. I think it's important to mention that, because I do feel that some people just would work better, right? Like it just will be a comfort level, right? I think that they would feel more comfortable discussing certain things. I think that they will feel more comfortable asking certain things, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen in the past, and it's sad because we're still seeing it today, when there's numerous people, right? And it's been all over the news, where even getting their homes appraised, right? Like been doing appraisals, and these values have been a substantial amount of money from people because they don't look a certain kind of way. So I think that you know, just working with someone that you will feel most comfortable with would probably be key as well.
Yeah. I mean, even like if you're in corporate America, it's just different to navigate that path, because we have to deal with stuff that, you know, no one else has to deal with, right? So it's important to talk to someone who can help you just, you know, walk your way through it, right? So I think you're exactly right when it comes to mentorship and just, you know, talking to someone who knows what you're going through.
Yeah. And the trust is needed, because you're talking about personal finances, right? You know, not a lot of people want to give up that information to a complete stranger. And also the big question is, well, what do you get out of it? You're this franchise consultant, you're giving me this free consultation, you don't give me all this free information. And then you're like, take away the air quotes. It's actually free. Like, he's not charging you. And, you know, people are like, well, when, you know, what do you get out of this? And having that trust, you kind of bypass all those worries and all that suspicion. It's like, okay, so you are trying to help me, and like, yeah, you do get something out of it on the back end, just not from me. You know.
Can I ask y'all a question about, do you think it's easier, or do you think there were less barriers to setting up your businesses in the South versus the North?
Yes. So stuff is just cheaper down here, right? So
Yeah.
what we pay for rent for our Pilates studios down here would probably be 3 or 4 times more in Jersey,
Yeah.
right? So just from a financial standpoint, it is a little bit easier to operate down here. Plus, you know what they say, like you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, right? So
Right.
like when we moved down
Facts.
here, we kind of had the mindset like, listen, we got to do some stuff, right? We got to figure some stuff out. But I say that people in New York and New Jersey are still doing it, right? So it's not impossible,
Right.
but I do admit that there's a little less barriers to entry down here. Right?
Mhm.
And so
Although-
Danny used to have a franchise. Danny, is any of this resonating with you in terms of like the fees and getting stuff going in Jersey?
Absolutely. So the rent thing alone,
Mhm.
Yeah.
rent in Jersey was insane for
Right.
not a really big space
Mhm.
that I was using at any time. Rent was insane. Just leave it there, right there. Don't need to say anything else. And the particular franchise that I was a part of, that I'll leave the name out of, also had ongoing franchise fees
Mhm.
that came off the top, and that's something that people may not know about.
Yeah.
And whatever franchise you are looking to get into, you have to look at all of that. Are there ongoing fees? And the particular ongoing fees for the company I was a part of were extreme.
Oh.
They were extreme because I will say they provided a lot as far as what you needed to operate, but you have to look at everything.
Sure.
And if the rent was lower, it would have worked a lot better. So
Yeah.
it worked. It was profitable, but was it profitable enough for me to still be doing it now? No.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about, Vanessa, your like just getting started, right? Because at the franchise is one thing because you kind of have a scaffold and there's a little bit of a cushion where it's safe, right? There's a little bit of safety in franchising, but you are like just out there, right?
Yeah.
So like what was like the thing that like frightened you the most in terms of like I'm just gonna do this? Like what was
So for me, it was the learning curve, right? I knew a lot about immigration law concepts from studying the law itself, from reading books, from talking to my sister-in-law, but then it came down to actually doing the work. It was like, if my client calls me today and says they want to apply for citizenship, what do I do? How do I do that? What's the number of the form? What website? Where do I submit it? Like, give me how much is it? I don't know. What do I charge? Right. So all of that came from, I worked with Chris's sister a lot because she had already had a law practice, and part of that included some immigration law as well. So she gave me some guidance, just kind of telling me, oh yeah, check this website. And there's also, within the law, pretty much every state has a local bar. And I don't mean the bar that you drink at, but the bar is the organization that lawyers become a part of once they get their license, right? So I have my license in New Jersey and New York, and I was like, well, I'm not part of the Florida bar, so what membership can I join to get more guidance? And there's this organization called the American Immigration Lawyers Association. I was like, that's exactly what I need. What can you guys teach me? And, they have like these sessions, we call them CLEs, continuing legal education. So you just take lectures essentially that teach you what you need to know about a certain topic. And there's hundreds of them. You got to pay your annual dues. You get access to a website. You get access to peers that you can talk to, sessions you can attend in person and now virtually. So there's a lot of education there, and they'll teach you nuts and bolts. They'll give you like the 101 version of things. They'll even tell you like step by step what you need to do or what textbook you should use, because it's like you're back in school again. Learning how to do something, not how it works. Or yeah, I get that to become a citizen, you've got to have your green card first for 5 years and have a clear background and pay your taxes, but how do you do it? And eventually I learned that stuff. I figured it out. I asked the right questions. And when the clients come in, I think back then the scariest part was doing consultations, because I'm sitting there one-on-one with someone who wants answers from me. And I'm like, I sure hope I have them.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would like kind of force them, because most of the time they don't want to. I would kind of force them to tell me up front, what will we be talking about at our appointment? Give me an idea of what you want to discuss. and, get them to describe it a little bit. And then I'd have enough lead time before our actual appointment to do a little research and break down what I need to know about this topic, so that when they come in and ask me the questions, I'm not blindsided
Right.
and, looking crazy, like I'm brand new to the field.
Right.
Is there an emotional
I
component
was gonna say,
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
in picking your clients or helping your clients, I would assume that, you get to know these people and their objective is to, be citizens of the United
Yes.
States. Like, is that like an emotional component to that? What is, like,
It is. I mean, a lot of it can be, to get the work done, I have to make it transactional in my mind, right? But the interaction with the client, I do make it personal, because for them, it's, it's probably been a long road for a lot of them. For some people, it's transactional for them too. They just have a lot of money. They started a business is doing well. They can get a green card off of that. Fantastic. That's not your typical client. Those people do stuff by themselves a lot. They're savvy enough to fill out these forms. The people who come to me have problems, right?
Yeah.
They've been like abused, and their US citizen spouse was gonna apply for them, but instead they hung ice over their head somehow. And now they gotta they might have to go home, but they don't know anybody at home anymore. How do you help me? Am I eligible for anything? And thank God there is a law that authorizes someone in that situation to get a green card, even though the spouse who should have applied for them won't. Right. So there's that humanitarian part where I'm going through with them all of the instances of the abuse. And, you got to have this conversation, because I actually have to put this on paper and convince immigration that you're worthy of this special law to apply to you. Right. So there's things like that. And I think that I got that training from being a public defender, because back then I was meeting people on their worst day. Right. No one wants to get arrested, especially not in New York. Like, you're in this dirty jail for like 15 hours before you get to speak to anybody.
Wow.
And, finally they speak to me, and I'm like, hey, so they're charging you with this crime. and like, I hate to say it, probably half the time they're like, that is not what happened.
Yeah.
So it's a rough conversation to have with somebody, and having that background, I think, made it a little easier to talk to someone on the immigration side of things. So there's that. You got to be gentle, I guess, but still get the information out, because you need it, so you can find out if you can help them. But the transactional stuff is fun too, but sometimes that turns emotional as well. It's interesting how someone will own a business and they'll file for something, but maybe they need help because they made a mistake last time, and now they're facing having to go back home. And, and they're like, I haven't been there in 8 years. I've been running through this
is my home.
Right. My kids were born here.
I
So
can imagine it having a very also rewarding side to it as well, once you are able to help people out in that way. I know that I work with a lot of parents who are not here legally, and I know that that's like a huge thing for them. Just like their kids are born here, but they, a lot of times afraid to seek out any services, afraid to seek out any help. Even now with the pandemic, you see a lot of it, even afraid to seek out medical help just because of that fear, and that constantly living in fear. So I would assume that it's also very rewarding to help people who really are here working hard, trying to make a life for themselves. So I would think that would be good as well. Make you feel good.
Was under Trump, that was on pause. The rewards were few and far between. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The one that shall not be named.
Voldemort.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for my clients, especially the
I'm
ones.
sorry, I don't know who you're.
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm Mariah J-Lo.
Did that happen? Did that really
I
happen?
don't know him.
I don't think so.
But what I think I'm hearing both of you say from like how you've responded is that having someone in your corner is important. And like that whole idea of, I know we say it and it sounds cliche, but like building a network, like starting to interact with people. And I remember from business school there was some adage that when I was getting my MBA, they were talking about you are the average of the 5 people that you interact with the most.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're a non-smoker and you hang around 4 other smokers, chances are you're gonna do it at some point, right?
Yeah.
So really looking at your circle of people who are around you and making sure that you're around the types of people who uplift you and who can help you. And you should never be the smartest person in your crew, right?
That's
If,
what
if
my
you
mama
if
says.
you are, then you're
That's
not
what my
growing,
mama
right?
says.
So you should
Right.
surround yourself with people who are like-minded individuals, and if you can't,
Your
seek them
vision.
out, right?
Mhm.
Find somebody who thinks the way that you think and is driven the way that you're driven, and has some answers for you, or will help you figure it out.
Yeah.
To your point, working with Chris's sister and such. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like put a bow on all of the great things that you all have just said over the last few minutes.
I have a question.
Sharice, go ahead.
How has
Little hand, little finger.
yeah, how has entrepreneurship and franchisee ship, or what's the terminology for it, or it is an
That word sounds
Franchiserness.
it has your franchiserness.
Both of those
but
words
it is an
sound made up.
entrepreneur
Both of
because
those words sound made up.
because you own a consulting company, right? So like you're putting people in, you're matching people with franchises that work for them.
Yeah.
How has taken that turn, instead of working with corporate America or working with the government, how has like basically taking control of your your careers, how has that worked for you?
I like it a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, I wake up early because I should get my work done earlier in the day. I don't actually have to wake up in the morning. Like I gotta get my kids dressed and out of the house, but I could go back to bed if I really wanted to. So that alone is like a huge plus for me. But natural rhythms of a work day is 9 to 5. So I tend to stick to that model. Everything else is open during that time. So, but I do love the freedom to kind of make my own schedule and get things done.
I think for me, it's so much more rewarding than corporate America because corporate America kind of dangles that salary over your head. And like, no matter how hard you work or how hard you don't work, you're going to get that same salary. I was in tech sales, right? So I would bring in millions of dollars for this organization. They're like, here's your little chump change. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
whereas now, the harder I work, I directly see the benefits of that in like cash, right? Like we're talking about like real money, right? So for me, right. So, for me, it's much more rewarding. I love being able to set my own schedule. Like we'll just be like, all right, we're going to lunch today and everything else is on pause, right? Like I don't have a secretary or anything, but I'll be like, hey Siri, book my calendar. Siri, she's trying to book my calendar right now. Like I take my daughter to lunch on Thursdays. Like we'll hit up Chick-fil-A like during lunchtime, just because daddy's the boss. Like daddy doesn't have to like be constrained by other people's time, right? Like I set my own schedule and try to be intentional with it. So from those perspectives, like I can't even see myself going back to corporate America. And it was scary when it first happened, but like now after doing it for a couple of years, I'm like, we good over here. I'm not going back.
That's so encouraging. I love to see it. I'm obsessively obsessed with people who are like entrepreneurs, and I'm always looking on Instagram, and not the gimmicky stuff or anything like that, but people that are really putting in work,
right.
And like making a life for themselves, because I ultimately aspire to have control over my day and my.
And so that's the other part of it. Like, I don't want to make it seem like it's all glitz and glamoury. Like Instagram, you could get caught up on the private jets and these yachts, which we don't have, right? But we don't have yet. But like,
knock on wood.
Right, gotta add that yet, right? But it's a lot of work, right? Like you have to really put the work in. A lot of my clients think that like you're just gonna open a franchise and like money's just gonna come pouring in, and that's just not how it works. Like you're out there like putting in work and hiring people, and you're either doing the work yourself or hiring people to do the work, and it's a lot. Like you have to market, you have to have a website and business cards, and always be putting people in the right position. So I don't want to make it seem like you just wake up in the morning and everything's like we have the benefit of having been in it for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. So like now we're starting to see some of the fruits of that labor, but in the beginning I was like waking up at 4:35 in the morning, going into the studio, opening, going to work, working a regular 9 to 5, coming back to the studio, you know, catching the kids before bedtime, putting a couple more hours in after they go to sleep. And, you know, but the difference is I was getting paid by me, and I didn't have to worry about getting laid off again.
Right.
So it was like, all right, well, if anyone's getting laid off around here, it ain't gonna be me. Like, so from that perspective, it's been really, really rewarding.
Yeah.
How has, oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That's really lost on corporate America, right? Once upon a time, you put in, 24 to 40 years, and they give you a gold watch and this golden parachute, like pension plan, and they throw you a party and they love the mess out of you, right? And like you get bonuses and all this stuff, but like you mentioned, I guess before we started recording, capitalism, you know, the companies, they just want to make as much money as they can now, and they don't care on whose back it is. There's no loyalty, and now they've lost the loyalty of their employees. And I hope they're paying for it, right? You know, because that's what they caused it. You know, corporate America used to be loyal to their employees, and they got that loyalty back, and now that's gone, and people jump ship every couple of years. They're like, well, about that time to apply for a new job. Like, you see people leave every couple of years now.
It's funny you mention that, because both of my parents got laid off pretty late in their careers, and it wasn't because of like anything merit based. It was literally because someone like ran some report and said, hey, we don't need X amount of people. And so going, like, when I remember when this happened when I was in college. So when I came out of college, I was like, oh, you got to fire them before they fire you. And so I left like every job like within 3 to 4 years. Like, as soon as like I got comfortable, I would leave and go find another opportunity. And even while doing that, still managed to get laid off 3 times, right? So it was like, all right, we're gonna figure something else out.
Yeah. How have you guys adapted to running your businesses in this pandemic? Has the pandemic had any effect on you guys, or
So that's the scary part, right? Like, you know, if you're, first of all, business owners don't get what do you call it?
Unemployment.
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 You didn't even know the word. He's like, what's the thing called? What's the thing, baby? What's
what
the
is
thing?
y'all workers get? What do y'all workers? What's that system the workers go through? Like,
so, you know, it was scary. Like, we, you know, this is our income, right? And now, like, the governor mandated that everything closed from a fitness perspective. We were closed for 2 months, and it was like, all right, what do you do? And we have, 30 something employees that work for us now. And it's like, you're worried about your family, but you're also worried about their families, right? Like, these are real life people that your decisions are going to be affecting. Now, luckily, we didn't have to let go of anybody. We were able to, steady the ship and keep things going while we were closed. And then we were able to open back up shortly. But it was a lot. It was emotional. It was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, you're trying to make sure that your family's safe, but you're trying to make sure that your businesses are, staying afloat. And it was a tough time.
And even when they allowed us to reopen, we were like, do we want to reopen?
Right.
Do we want to be super spreaders? Like, and just make people come back to work and make themselves sick? Like, what? They don't know enough about this disease for us to feel safe opening up a fitness facility. So I think we took a couple weeks before we agreed, hey, staff, do you guys want to come back to work? Hey, members, do you guys want to come back and exercise? How do you all feel about this? And the general consensus was yes. So
and I think it looks like you guys are compassionate too. Like, I can get that from both of you, that there's a human element that goes along with having a franchise, as opposed to, we talked about the contrast to corporate, where, it's just numbers and people on a sheet of paper. But, in doing what you're doing, you're actually helping, the economy, you're helping people build their skills, so that eventually, if they wanted to go on to do something else, they have those, that basis of knowledge. So I think it's a noble deeds.
So that was something that was really important for both of us. Like, we didn't want to own businesses that we couldn't be proud of. Like, they had to bring some sort of value back to the community. That, fitness lent itself nicely to that, because it's like, all right, this is something that's good. And it's going to provide longevity. The intrinsic value was that, I mean, you help people through divorce. You almost become like a shrink, if you will. They become family. Like, and I'm not just talking about like staff. I'm talking about like the actual members at the facility, right? You see them preparing for their weddings, having children. Like, you're like, an extension of the family. So that's pretty cool. We didn't, at least I didn't know how much staff it took to run an organization like that. And like you look up and you start off with 3 employees and you look up and it's like 30 and you're like, wow, like these are like real people, like that like try to call me boss, and I'm like, no, don't do that, like like
Chris is fine.
Right.
And we just don't want to do them like corporate America
Right.
did. That's what, like, or how we saw corporate America treat other people too. That same like failure to have any loyalty for your people and try to expect it back is craziness in general. So why would we perpetuate that kind of behavior?
When you base that model, like your model in that way, I think it comes back to you, right? Like I feel like what you put out definitely comes back to you. So I think that's probably why you guys are having the success that you're having, even with having been shut down for 2 months, even though we're still in a pandemic. I think just showing that compassion, showing that you care about your employees. I think that all those things in the long run do end up coming back in a positive way.
That's one thing I'm really serious about. Like I remember managers just like straight up lying, like, oh yeah, everything's fine, no big deal. And then like Monday you laid off, And so I remember like when the pandemic first happened and we closed and staff was like, well, what's going to happen? And I was like, I do not know. Like we are in this together. I hope, for the best, but I'm not going to like sugarcoat this. Like this is.
And they wanted some sugar.
Right. They wanted some sugar. And I'm like, you're not going to get it from me. Like, I don't know. Like,
no, this is a real situation.
This is not a drill. Right? We're going to figure this out together. And I promise you that, when I have information, you will. Right. And that's the way I wanted to be treated. And I wasn't. But that's the way I treat folks that work.
And we work with each other.
Transparency.
Well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes Chris, he's just like, I'm not going to give you any good news. And I was like, well, at least tell them like, well, I don't plan on firing you. Like, at least tell them that. Like, I don't want to fire none of y'all.
Nope, I gotta be as
anything can happen.
That's how, like, don't ask me. I can tell you right now what's going on. I don't know what's happening tomorrow, so you gotta.
I was like, I think they also want to know your mind, right? I know that they want to know. They want to hear some facts, and I know you don't actually have any, but at least tell them your mind. Tell them what you feel, and tell them like the goal is to go back to being whole again, right? So I think Chris definitely runs both studios, and he manages our manager, and he comes to me for like advice and to like edit his responses to
She's the softer, like the more the craftier side,
Crafty. I would say more sensitive.
Right. Don't say it like that. I'm like, okay, how you want me to say it?
Right.
Everybody needs that.
Chris wants to give a eulogy, and you want to
celebration.
I'm like, hey, let's scale back on that. You put the first draft, and I'll come in and put my red line.
So I do like the bullet points, like here, and then I'm like, you add the stuff that
So you guys are. So what you're saying? You guys are a team.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the majority of our staff is female, so I got to remind him like, I grew up a tomboy. You talk to me a certain way because I allow that. You can't do that to everybody. Okay. We got different.
I think it goes both ways, because you were asking about the emotional side with her business, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, listen,
cut them off.
Like you gotta all right, the consultation is an hour, and it's been an hour and a half. Like, come on, let's go.
That's
true. Yeah. In the beginning, he did. He was the one trying to get me to toughen up because I was doing stuff for free. I was doing stuff for a long time, and it was just like, that's not even a business.
Yeah, I'm like, discounts are okay, but we're not doing free.
Right.
We're not doing free.
Yeah, free consultations.
Black Queen, know your worth. Know your
People
worth,
still want
Black
free
Queen.
consultations. They will tell us off because we're not giving free consultations. They're like, what? You don't need to pay just to talk to you? If you don't want to pay to talk to me, then you're probably not going to be a very, on time paying client anyway. So
exactly.
All right. So as we draw this to a close, I mean, we could talk about this all day, and I want to. I know your time is money. Your money is your time.
We're not charging you for this one, so you might as well ask.
All right. Well, I will do. I'll leave on this note. What is one thing that you would tell someone interested in starting, like one piece of advice, just something golden that you have? Yeah, it got to be one thing. This is
Always
like
putting you to the fire.
I'm putting
one
like,
thing.
if you had a gun to your head, if you had a
I
gun
don't
to
like it. She always talking about this gun to the head. I hate it.
No, it makes me nervous.
I love the question. For me, it's I think we suffer from like trying to be average. Like, you know, you're like, all right, I'm gonna take this class. I just want to get a decent grade. Like I would tell people like set your goal like intentionally and be like go get it, right? Like don't try to be like, if you look at average and like the definition, like it's like mediocre. So don't be that. Try to be like excellent in everything you do. Set realistic goals that are going to stretch you a little bit, and I think you'll be better for it. That's the one thing I tell aspiring entrepreneurs.
For me, make a plan. You gotta have a plan. Too many people want to wing it.
Shots fired.
But that's the compliment.
They're gonna wing it.
Yang,
You can't. I mean, like, yeah, with a business, the easiest thing is a business plan, right? But the business plan, you know, I feel like in immigration, I've seen different business plans, because now you're trying to prove to the government that this is a legitimate business and you should get a visa based off of that. You get to live here based on a business plan, an idea that you have, right? And their standards are so high. And I think that people should set their standards high when they plan as well. Like, map out your day. What is your day in the life going to be like when you have this thing up and running? And, you know, if you can map that out, then you can get there. You know, you'll know what you're going to need to delegate. You're going to know who you need to hire to do certain things. It's just going to be an easier path for you to be up and running eventually if you have a better plan.
Awesome.
That's great advice,
I
guys.
love it. Get a plan. On that note.
On that note, so we're gonna do something fun. Can we transition? Can we transition to fun? And then everybody who's watching and listening, we're gonna put all of Chris and Vanessa's information in the comments, in the description. So if you want to know how to reach out to them, we'll have all their stuff there. You can reach out to them if you need help.
And we'll put some links in the bio.
Yeah. We'll have links and we'll set you all up, okay? But we're gonna transition to Versis. Yes.
Yes, this is always the fun part.
Sharice, can you tell Kristen B what Versis is about?
All right. If you're not familiar, I'm gonna familiarize you with what it is. So we pit two songs. So it is two songs. However, the co-hosts have like they get a little crazy. Taking the rules and run with it, but really it's two songs from the same artist. It's like Verses, but it's not. But we call it Ver-sis, right? We take two songs from one artist, and you gotta choose. It's the gun to the head.
Here we go.
Don't think about it too much.
I just so over it over here.
Don't think about it too much. So that's basically what it is. It gets cringy, it gets uncomfortable. That's how you know it's a good Versus.
Okay.
All right.
So we have some intel about the Wilson's favorite artists. So
yeah.
Danny's gonna start us off with some stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate Danny for that.
You appreciate it. Melly wanted no parts. All right. So the first artist is Michael Jackson.
That's why.
Michael Jackson.
All right.
So I prepared 3 verses. So depending on how we get through, I'll make up my mind whether or not I'm going to put the third one in. I'm watching the time.
Even more uncomfortable.
Hey, I didn't even say any
Melly
songs
bows
yet.
out. That's how you know it's
sweating.
When I heard when it was Michael, I was like, Michael, I don't even want.
She doesn't want to participate.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to pick songs. I didn't want to play. I'm just like, look.
Go for it, Danny. Go for it.
So for my first one, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to pick 2 Michael songs that he did duets with Paul McCartney.
No.
Okay.
No, I won't choose one of those.
I already have an answer.
No.
Michael.
Say.
No.
Say. You know that had to be one of them. And the other one is The Girl Is Mine.
Say what you want.
See? Look at you.
The Girl Is Mine.
I'm gonna go say.
The household divided. Okay.
Yeah,
Girl Is Mine. Yeah,
Girl
that
Is
groove,
Mine.
man.
Yeah, for me,
You
it's the
before
girl is
Paul, I'm
mine.
a lover, not a fighter. When he said that, I'm like, that's right,
Girl
Michael.
Is Mine.
You
My
tell
leg
him.
is shaking. I hate this game.
Come on, Melly. Come on.
I'm gonna go with say.
All right.
It's
Yeah,
the
really.
bridge for
As
me.
far-
Is say.
That's
The harmonica?
yeah,
All I do,
that part.
cause I love you,
Love you.
baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the reason I'm going with.
I don't
Would
know.
you
The girl is mine is so smooth, man.
It's so smooth.
Yeah.
Right?
I always felt like
It's
Listen,
a
and
gun
then this
to the head.
happens where they start singing the other song, and then in my head, I'm like,
Like, you think that they really had beef over this girl. Like, I think
They
that this was
did.
a real
I
life
believe it.
situation. Like, this was real life.
I
It's
thought
I always
the
just
girl.
like The Girl Is Mine because I always felt like Michael Jackson was watered down for Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
I was like, this ain't Michael. This is Michael Light.
It did start a genre, though. It did start a
It did.
genre of
It
duets
did.
where people are fighting over one person.
Yeah.
That's true.
Boy Is Mine.
The Boy Is
Classic.
Mine,
Yeah.
Classic. Monica and Brandon.
Same Girl, R. Kelly and Usher.
I forgot about that. That's a good one.
Sure, like
Always. She always.
every time. Every
always,
time.
it always takes a little turn.
Gotta reel you back. Danny, what
Gotta
did you
reel her
choose?
back in.
I chose The Girl Is Mine.
Danny?
You chose the girl is mine. Okay,
I did.
I got you.
That one
Say,
was-
right? Say, Sharice, what did you pick? Say.
I did pick say.
So we got three
Oh.
for say, and three for girl. Is
3 and
Mine.
3.
Even
Nice.
split.
Even.
Even
All right.
split.
So
All
the
right.
next one is Man in the Mirror,
Mm.
I'm already.
or They Don't Really Care About Us.
Mm.
Oh, the politically motivated.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a
Especially
theme.
now.
All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
Hmm.
Tough one.
That
Wow.
drum beat.
Yeah.
That drum beat.
That drum
I'm
beat
gonna
make
go
you
with
want to
Man
go
in the
out and
Mirror
do
because
something.
that's introspection. It's easy to say like, oh, they're not doing something. Like when you got to look internally, like that's a lot.
Ah.
So I'm going with Man in the Mirror.
Whoa.
DJ, see?
Okay.
Oh.
Ah,
You
this
messed
one's
me
really
up with
hard
that
for
'cause
me.
I was
Yeah,
about
but
to go
dang.
down
I know, right?
I thought I had an answer, but the answer.
I'm gonna go with
Starts
Man
with
in the
B.
Mirror. I'm gonna go with Man in the Mirror too. I love the introspection angle, but what I really love about Man in the Mirror is his live performances of
When he
Man
was
in the Mirror. Huh? What?
You would always.
You always do that too. Go ahead.
Yes, and it would be like the I don't know what sound that is, but the sound that's really like and then he gets into these grooves and the like not hands down, you cannot beat
Yeah.
any Man in the Mirror performance like that. Those were
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going with Man in the Mirror also.
yeah. And not because I don't like they don't get this is gun to the
Right,
head.
right.
Right. This is a hard choice.
That's why I'm like, I'm having a hard time. I feel like they don't really
even
care
like
about
to
us.
play with Michael Jackson songs. This is-
Right. It's so relevant today,
I thought I had a clear choice.
right?
I did.
Well, I'm gonna go with They Don't Really Care About Us.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what I thought was gonna be my
Tell
choice.
us
And
why.
I did realize that
I just feel like
in that mirror, man, it's true with the Man in the Mirror. Gonna
I
make
feel like though, if I had, gun to the head, if I had to choose, it's gonna be Man in the Mirror.
I just feel like
Yeah. That instrument, and it just
The spin,
every
the
time.
spin for 5 minutes, boom, and then
that's the best
down.
part.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Man in the Mirror.
See, it's just a woman on a
I'm
mountain. You
all
gotta tell
by
us why. You
myself,
gotta
and
tell
that-
us why. You gotta tell
that
us.
is okay.
Danny,
I just feel like no. Well, you said why?
Yeah.
You said tell you why. I just feel like it needs. He said a lot of things that needed to be said,
Yeah.
Back.
and that because he said it, more people listened.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the song, that song only hit number 30 in the US on the Billboard charts, but every
Wow.
place else in the world it was number 1.
Wow.
To me,
That's
that
the
says
thing,
a lot.
the facts.
What
Says
does
a
it
lot.
say?
So maybe the
Wow.
country needs to have some introspection. That's what
But
we're saying.
didn't they
Right.
do didn't
And they didn't want to play it because they said it promoted, I forgot their words because they were so ridiculous. I think I still have them up. They
Wow.
said due to the controversial tone of the project, they didn't want to play it because they said that it was promoting hate, intolerance, racism, and anti-Semitism.
Well, that's the reality of
Isn't
this
it
country.
the opposite of
Didn't they just start
Right.
replaying it? Didn't they do something with it recently? Because
They
I feel like
were.
I've been
Yeah.
I
hearing
heard it a lot.
that.
Yes.
So, yeah, like with
Because it's so
recent
relevant
events.
right now, isn't
It
it?
is.
Not that it ever stopped being relevant.
I was gonna
but,
say
you
when
know,
it
I wish it
when is it not relevant?
we wish it wasn't relevant anymore.
Right.
All of these songs are relevant.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Strange Fruit, you know, we talk about like, you know, the songs that are very controversial are still, it's sad that they are still relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Talia, what did you
Tupac
choose?
song today?
I chose
What was
Man in
it?
the
I see no change.
I was all by myself. I was all by
Sure.
myself. On
No,
that.
But I
it was
get it.
gun to the head
I
situation.
know.
It is.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's
All
hard.
right.
Should
We
should
got
we
anything
pivot?
else?
Should we pivot to the next artist, or we?
Yes,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
do
let's
it.
go to the next artist.
So another artist that I know the Wilsons are fans of is Mr. Jay-Z.
Sean Corey
All
Carter.
right, this is it's gonna get real. And I too have quite a few, but I'm gonna start with I'm gonna start with Reasonable Doubt. Okay, and we're gonna focus, right? Let's go. Yes, okay. I see your face, Chris. Yes, that's what we're doing today. That's how we're doing it.
I'm
I'm like,
taking out this time.
No, that's not on the list. That's not on the list. We did that.
Oh,
That was another versus. That's not on the list. However,
and I appreciate it.
However, I am going to put now that Brooklyn natives, I'm going to put Brooklyn's finest on there. Okay, all right, and feeling it.
Ooh.
Feeling it.
Brooklyn's finest. It has Biggie on it.
No way.
Yeah, I was gonna say Brooklyn's finest.
It has Biggie on it.
So what?
So what?
What? You mean
So
so
every
what?
so it's Brooklyn's finest across the board because
No, no,
feeling
no.
it.
I'm going with feeling it. I'm going
Feeling
with
it was
feeling
my
it.
stuff.
Yeah. Feeling
That
it.
piano in the back, man.
Yeah, that flow
Yeah.
on feeling it. He
Yeah.
danced all over that track.
Yeah.
And I love Brooklyn's finest,
I do
but
Yeah.
love
feeling it.
Brooklyn's
yeah.
finest.
I'm going with feeling it too. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Brooklyn's finest. If I had gone to my, if I had to,
Was that a 3 and 3?
is it a 3 and 3
I'm
again?
going with
Tiebreaker. Danny, you're the no, you didn't.
I said Brooklyn's finest already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. See,
There you go.
when people didn't choose it, so obviously.
There you go.
All right.
I'm a businessman, not a businessman.
businessman. All right, so now I'm gonna go with some collabs, okay, with
Okay.
Jay-Z. And the first collab that I have is with Jay-Z and Foxy Brown, Paper Chase. Okay.
Oh, Paper Chase. You're not
Gotta
going
get
with the
that
obvious.
paper
Take the
dog.
dog. Mhm.
Gotta, right? Okay,
Okay.
and then
Mhm.
I have Renegade with Eminem.
Renegade.
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 Is it across the board?
Renegade has one of the best verses that
Yeah.
Eminem has ever done.
Yes.
Of all time, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably one
I
could
remember I heard
argue
that song and
it's
I was
the
like,
best.
Jay-Z, why did you release this?
Right.
Like Eminem kind of sunned him on his own track. And I'm
Right.
like,
I was
oh,
like,
this is
"Ugh."
uncomfortable. But it's a great song.
Great song.
It's good.
Great song.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, true confession. I listened to these today to try to figure this out, okay? And I'm gonna go with Renegade.
Like, no, wait, when you say you listened, you went back or for the first time?
Heard them before, but
They didn't resonate.
My heart.
I didn't
rate
even
was a
remember
little-
them. Like I'm not. I'm sorry.
Oh man. Oh.
You see Melly
But-
sitting there
But
with her face
Eminem
in
is
her
a
hand.
beast.
And I'm about to
So
side eye her. What?
Nothing.
Eminem is a beast.
Pretend like I was
mean,
not here so that y'all don't ask me no more questions.
Like Danny, right? It was Eminem's song, basically.
Basically.
yeah.
I'm gonna go with that too. Cause I thought when you
Oh.
said Jay and Foxy, I thought you were gonna say something else, but either
Yeah.
way, Jay-Z and Eminem.
What
So
did you think I was gonna say?
The
the other one with
It's
the
on Jay-Z and Maya. Best of Me. I thought you was gonna go there.
oh,
Oh,
That would have been a good
Oh.
one. What would you
That
put
would
that?
make
So
it
you
look-
would put that up against Renegade? What would you
What
put
was
that
the
up
other-
No,
against?
I
no,
would put
that
that
was the
against
other
Paper
one.
Chase.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would
Paper
put that
Chase.
against Paper
Okay, so
What
Paper
was the
Chase
other
and Eminem.
Foxy
They
song?
had another Foxy song. They
Yeah.
had song.
Yeah, his first, actually, it was like his first release.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
What's
That
Special
the name of it?
next. Okay.
Oh.
That one. That's the one that I thought.
Yeah. All right.
Put that with Maya.
Yeah.
That with Maya and Jay-Z.
Y'all want to do some Jay-Z, Kanye?
Yeah.
What do you mean, Jay-Z, Kanye? What do you mean by that?
From Watch the Throne.
Duets? You mean
From Watch the
Kanye,
Throne.
Jay-Z, Kanye duets? Which ones are the best?
Yeah. From the Watch the Throne.
If it's not niggas in Paris, I don't know what. Don't like what other.
So here's what's funny, right? We went to Paris for our anniversary, and that song had like just came out, and like everyone in the club looked at us like, and we was like,
Believe it. I don't even. What other song, Talia? What would you bring
Yeah.
up?
Go with the light.
First of all, I wouldn't put niggas in Paris on the.
I knew she wasn't gonna put it.
I wouldn't have included
I knew
that
she was
song
not
in
gonna
the.
include that anyway
the
because that's
verses
gonna
at
top
all.
everything. So what
Right.
other songs did you decide?
I was thinking Otis.
Okay.
That's a
Otis
tough
is
one.
good.
That's a tough one.
I
Uh-huh.
was thinking Otis, and I was thinking the one they did with Frank Ocean, No Church in the Wild.
No
Church.
Church.
Wow. Those are some-
Yeah.
But like from a concert experience, like that N words in Paris, that
Yeah, I
like they
I
would do that like
I
9 times in a row.
That's why I
Yeah.
didn't include it.
On the list.
That's why
Yeah.
it's not included.
Yeah.
Oh, so hard, man. Trying to find me. You can start that over. Like, you know how you like
Oh my
started
God.
over?
Yeah, they kept doing
You
it.
literally would turn off all the lights. It was completely dark. And then-
Right.
I'm sure that's exactly what the clubs are doing, just looping it,
Yep.
Yeah.
bringing it back.
So that's why it was not on the list.
Oh, okay. Because I
Too
was going to
obvious.
say,
Too
there's
obvious.
no point.
There's no point.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't put
You
anything.
know, when we were deciding on our favorite artists, I was like, you know, you're not gonna like this, but Kanye's up there for me, because he's a little,
Well,
whatever
we
he
all
is.
have troubles. We
But-
all have our troubles.
but he's just so
Genius.
talented, you
He is
know,
very talented.
like,
I've seen Kanye maybe 3 times in concert.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
he's
like
good.
we've seen him with Jay-Z.
I've been boycotting Kanye for a little while, but hopefully
I
this
know.
situation will bring him back to us. So
It's hard. I want him to.
I need like 2 good albums before I'm like back with you though, Kanye. Like you put me through a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we were with him when he was like, George Bush don't care about black people.
Right. I want that Kanye back.
I
Right.
want, that's the
And
kind
then out of nowhere, he just flipped it. We're like, wait a minute.
But I think that if he were to get the help that he needs, it
Yeah.
would be huge, right? Because I
Yeah.
think that then there's not, you know, there's always this negative stigma with the mental
Right.
going on, right? But also because people would be like, oh God, he's back, thank you. Because I too like the old Kanye.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
like
old Kanye
it
clearly
was
had
heartbreaking
mental health
to
issues
be my
too.
son.
This
I
is
just
just,
feel like I miss that Kanye, right? I do.
yeah.
But this Kanye, and I know it's not him. I just think he got stuff going on, right?
It's in
Yeah.
the sunken
I'm
place.
hoping he is in a sunken place, and I just hope that that he can get the help, and then he can come back, and we will be like, yeah.
Open arms, Kanye. We'll
You
bring you
know,
back. We'll bring
I
you
was
back.
just telling Sharice they did this hip hop thing, like hip hop songs that shook up America. It was on AMC back in like 2019. It showed up. The little fire stick was like, "Oh, Talia, you've been watching all this stuff. We think you like this show." And I'm like, "Oh, what's this?" And they did a whole episode about Jesus Walks. That's like the first episode in the
Wow.
series,
Really?
and how like that was such a pivotal song for Kanye, but also like controversial in the way that he did like a gospel. And to be honest with you, I
Right.
never thought about Jesus Walks as a gospel song. But when
So-
I'm like, why do you keep calling this a gospel song? It's not a gospel song. But I guess
I
it is.
didn't until I saw it. Remember when BET used to have like gospel music Sundays? They played that, and they played one of 50 Cent songs. I can't remember what it was, but you know, when you listen to the lyrics, it's like, wow, these are both gospel songs. Like I didn't really
Never.
didn't hear like that when on the radio, but
Or in the club.
right. But
That boom, 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 like that. Boom, boom. I'm like, oh,
Dancing to Jesus Walks.
Right.
right.
That doesn't feel right. But people were.
Versatility.
Yeah, well, I hope y'all enjoyed Versus. Did we do this?
We did.
We
That's
did.
fun.
That was cool.
That was some decision making right there. I tried to look cool on camera, but internally I was like,
It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you
It's an
uncomfortable.
internal struggle.
It did. I was like, dang.
Yep.
Well,
So
thank you,
before
guys.
we head out, Melly, you got something you want to say to the people?
I do have something I want to say to the people.
Uh-huh.
So thank you everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate all the love and support. There's a new episode every Wednesday. So make sure that you're checking it out. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find us on Anchor. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Just throwing it out there, the podcast. Make sure that you do those 4 things that we ask you to do every week. What is it? Follow, like, subscribe, share. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate you guys being on here with us today.
It was fun.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
thank you.
It really was. Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
guys.
yeah, thank you so much for coming. And folks out there, I hope you really got something out of what Chris and
Go get a
Vanessa
franchise. Start your own
Take your time, okay? Don't, Sharice, please don't send people out there like that. Call Chris.
Go get a franchise.
Don't go get a franchise. Call Chris.
Chris.
Send him an email, and he'll help you through the
From
process.
Chris.
If you
Go
know of
get a
anybody
franchise from
who needs
Chris.
immigration services, call Vanessa. They'll help you out. We're about caring and sharing and
Links will
self-love.
be in bio.
Links
all
will be
the
in the
links
bio.
will be in bio.
All right, well, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye.